and welcome to Climate Check with me, Mary Mwiikisa. I'm excited to be in your company as we discuss issues around sustainable development and environmental protection. Today on the program, we focus on management of plastic waste as well as the El Nino that is anticipated later in the year. And so we have an interview and a package around that issue. But before we delve into the details of the program, let's take a short break. Welcome back. Now, to start the show, the African Union Commission has officially opened the 21st African Climate Outlook Forum in Lusaka, and it is themed Preparing Africa for El Nino, Strengthening Readiness to Anticipate and Manage Climate Shocks. Now, the forum, which has been graced by the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, seeks to prepare Africa for unforeseen climate changes, disasters, and strategically manage and reduce the impacts. Mwangala Hampande attended this event and filed in this report.
The African Union Commission has officially opened the 21st Africa Climate Outlook Forum themed Preparing Africa for El Nino, Strengthening Readiness to Anticipate and Manage Climate Shocks. The forum, which has been graced by the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, seeks to prepare Africa for unforeseen climate change disasters and strategically manage and reduce their impacts.
Current forecasts from global producing centers suggest the possibility of another El Nino event developing during the latter part of 2026. While uncertainty remains regarding its magnitude and localized impacts, the science is sufficiently clear for us to begin strengthening preparedness measures. The cost of early preparation is always far lower than the cost of late response. Distinguished delegates, the theme of this forum, which is Preparing Africa for El Nino 2026-2027, strengthening readiness to anticipate and manage climate shocks, could therefore not be more timely. The question before us is no longer whether climate shocks will occur, but whether we are adequately prepared to anticipate, to manage, and to reduce their impacts.
The World Meteorological Organization has highlighted the 4 key areas that the forum seeks to strengthen its support on the continent.
First, strengthening regional coordination and partnership. Climate services cannot be delivered in isolation. WMO is working closely with the regional institutions, national meteorological services, and development partners to enhance coordination and ensure that support is better aligned with the country needs. Second, expanding climate financing for adaptation. Through initiatives such as the Climate Risk and Early Warning Systems, CRUISE, WMO is supporting countries to strengthen early warning systems and climate service delivery, particularly in the most vulnerable areas. Third, modernize observational infrastructure. Reliable climate services depend on robust observational systems for provision of data through the Systematic Observation Financing Facility, SOF. WMO supports improvement in observation network to improve data availability and enhance the accuracy and the reliability of forecasts across the continent. And fourth, advancing early warning systems. WMO is committed to strengthening end-to-end early warning systems that connect data, forecasts, communication, and action, ensuring that climate information leads to timely and life-saving decisions on the ground.
The African Union Commission highlighted how the continent's climate change resilience development strategy and integrated strategy forums are to be implemented.
To do so, we have got programs that are actually aimed at implementing those frameworks, such as the CLIMSA program that we have. We have got the SEWA and the AMIWAS. These abbreviations or acronyms are actually too much for you, but the point is that they are actually looking at making sure that we have got climate information that is available for decision makers as well as for development planning. But also we serve our communities in terms of early warning system as well as early action.
Director of the African Center of Meteorological Applications for Development, Dr. Osman Diaye, acknowledged the importance of the forum to Africa and why it is important to prepare for climate change.
In Africa, the economy is mostly led by climate variabilities. The agriculture is rain-fed. Many diseases, vector-borne diseases, are related to climate. And also the water resources depend on climate. So if you have any strong climate variability, it will impact directly the socio-economic in each country. As you know, in Africa, we don't have means and infrastructure to withstand with those big impact, big shock of climate. All we need is to anticipate, to get prepared, to ensure that we can avoid it. So that's why this meeting is really relevant.
The 2026 21st Africa Climate Outlook Forum is being hosted in Lusaka, Zambia. Mwangala Hampande reporting for Climate Check.
Now, extreme weather events continue to challenge the way we live as a people, and as a SADC region, we must prepare for the worst, and the best way to do so is by being informed and strategically planning the best way to deal with the possible El Nino effect expected much later. This is Climate Check. Right now, we turn our attention to the issue of management of plastic waste. Now, we know that the extended producer responsibility speaks to the fact that companies and institutions that produce products that are packaged in plastic must take responsibility of how that plastic is managed after usage of their product. Are we doing much about it? Are we enforcing much? I'm having the next conversation with Cisanga Mwanza from Chilengedwe, and she is the lead consult as we talk about her initiative of management of plastic waste in schools on the other side. I'm now joined in studio by Cisanga Mwanza, who is lead consult at Chilengedwe Zambia, and she and her team are managing an initiative that is focusing on management of plastic waste and working with schools, which is a great initiative. Thank you so much for making time to be on the show.
Thank you for having me. We haven't sat next to each other
in a while,
in a very long time.
Yeah,
so
I'm glad you
to
made
be here.
time. Yeah. Now let's first refresh the minds of our viewers. What is Chilengedwe Zambia all about?
Chilengedwe Zambia is really about conservation and about communication, but really at the heart of Chilengedwe, we believe, especially now that we're having a conversation around plastic waste, that plastic waste is simply not an environmental issue. Mm-hmm. You know, plastic waste is an education issue, it's an infrastructure issue, it's a behavioral issue, and importantly, it's a shared responsibility. And this speaks to who we are at Chilengedwe. We want to drive the conversation around behavioral change. Mm-hmm. We want to drive the conversation around collective responsibility when it comes to conserving our country, conserving the nature that God so gave us so that we can extend it to those that come in the future.
Now, I know that as an organization, you're doing so much, especially with schools, but today I want to focus our conversation around management of plastic waste. Let's talk about some of the observations you've made as an organization around plastic waste in Lusaka, first of all, and also in schools.
One of the main issues really is, as I referred to in our opening conversation, around collective responsibility and behavioral change. So the biggest challenge is that plastic waste doesn't really have a convenient place to go to, you know, after it's been used. And perhaps there's not enough education to confirm that, look, this is actually money. This is gold in a sense, that is being wasted away. So we expect people to dispose of waste responsibly, but we're not putting infrastructure in place in the communities, in the schools, and as well as, sensitizing people that, plastic waste is recyclable. It feeds into a full-on circular economy that can provide for so much more. So this is our observation, and this is where perhaps the interaction in terms of education and honing in onto the collective responsibility comes into play for us.
Now, you work with schools in this issue around management of plastic pollution and managing of the waste. Why schools?
Very important. Schools these are the future citizens of our country. These are the future citizens of the world. So if I'm talking to a 6-year-old, I'm talking to a 10-year-old, we're engaging a 15-year-old, we're reshaping their mindset right from there. So there's no need, because we've started honing into them the behavioral change, we started honing into them the value in that waste and how it can become resourceful to them. The change begins there. So for us, that's the target. That's the green. When people talk about we've gone to a green field, the youth are the green field, because once we've re-socialized them, this conversation that we're having today is going to be a totally different conversation that we'll have in years to come.
And what strategies or programs has your organization implemented in this regard, working with schools?
A lot of the time we go in and do a needs assessment in a sense. So we find that perhaps there isn't an extracurricular activity that the children are doing, then we create one. So we'll set up a conservation club. This is very common. I remember a few years ago at Kamwed had a conversation. I was talking about Chongololo clubs and Chipembele clubs. We still do that. We still go into the schools, set up those conservation clubs, and from there we start the conversation. And so when we start the conversation, you'll find the children are first of all, when we say let's plant a tree, they're very happy to plant the trees. They're very happy to plant the fruit trees, because they see there's value at the end of it. They're going to get a fruit. And so with the plastic waste, it's the same situation. So we go in there and we say, okay, guys, we have a situation with plastic waste. Look at all this plastic waste in your school. What are we going to do about it? So we've started a campaign called Sponsor a Cage. So sponsor a cage or sponsor a bottle in a school. And once that is placed there, our partners who are aggregators and waste recyclers, New Tech Recycling, come in and they come and collect this waste after it's accumulated a certain tonnage. But what this is doing really in essence is that, one, it is teaching the children that when they see the plastic, they're going to pick it up and they're going to come and place it in the cage for collection. They also get to know what waste it is, what sort of plastic actually goes into the container, because our recycling partners then come on board and have an educational session with the youths, with the children, and explain to them which waste goes where. And also what they do is something very exciting. They bring the products that will come out of that waste. So the children are already excited. They know if I collect so many bottles and Nutec or whoever the recycling partner is in that particular environment come and collect this waste, I know we're going to get a desk or we're going to get a bench and we're going to be able to sit in a garden under a tree, and we'll be using the same recycled plastic, the same plastic waste that we collected and has been recycled. So this is one of the initiatives, and it's worked.
They're seeing the value.
They are seeing the value. We've implemented it in 5 schools so far. We got a partner, MTN, who through their foundation came on board with us, and we placed a couple of cages in some of the schools. And I tell you, we started the project on a Wednesday. We went and installed the cages, and we were trying to run a competition to see if we could incentivize them. When we went round the following day to go and check on progress, all the cages were full.
Wow.
All the cages that we had placed in the schools were full. So we then went back out and got, there's the... I don't know if you've ever seen, they're like bags, very big bags. So they're tonnage, they're bags made in a tonnage sort of size. So very big bags. So we went out and got some more bags and took them to the schools, because we were running this activity for about 5 days. By the time we were going back, most of those big bags were full already. So it means that the children are excited. They see that the waste is a sight for sore eyes. They want to change that narrative, and so they pick the waste and they bring it. And when we interacted with them, they said, yes, we want a clean school, we want benches, we don't want to see the plastic when we walk in the streets, and we're going to go home and tell our parents as well that we should take care of this waste, and there's a way in which we can take care of it. So we also encourage them to bring it to school, because at least home. Yes, because at least that's a collection point. Yes. You see, so because at home perhaps they may not have the opportunity to find a place where they can actually dispose of it. But if they bring it to school, the cages are there, the big bags are there, and the plastic gets collected. So you're actually helping clean up the environment from a home setup all the way into the schools. We are trying. So we're saying if it works in the schools, when it works in the schools, not if it works, when it works in the schools, we can move into the communities as well. So if we're in Ngombe and we've set up an initiative at Ngombe Primary School or Foxdale Secondary School, we're catering for the community in Ngombe as well as the school itself. So we're able to bring both together and see how we can support the communities in that sense. And seems like the plastic issue is a mindset matter, because we've had this talk about the extended producer responsibility, where the people that produce these products packaged in plastics must also come on board. How do you think such institutions can work with your organization? Because their products are packaged in plastic. You have water, you have carbonated drinks, you have sachets of water, you have different types of bottles, and these are products packaged in plastic. And an initiative like yours would come in handy for them. It would. It certainly would come in handy. I'll give a bit of hard talk here and relate to the fact that the extended producer responsibility is really not enforced. Because if it were enforced, really, and the producers of these goods took it on and took on that responsibility, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I think that is important. They can say that they're running an initiative. I don't want to mention particular initiatives for those that run. They can say they're running an initiative. But what is the impact? What is the change? Are you still, every time you walk, every meter that you walk, are you still seeing a bottle that is produced from your organization? If you're still seeing that bottle thrown away irresponsibly, then there's a challenge. You need to do more. The same way that you are going to market, let's give an example that Chilengedwe is a drink. The same way that I'm going to continuously market and aggressively market Chilengedwe as a drink is the same way that I should market the responsibility to take care of the environment based on the waste that Chilengedwe is going to produce. And so this is where the conversation starts. First of all, for them, that this initiative is brought to them. Chilengedwe is here to bridge that gap for you. Your focus as a business, as an FMCG, is to produce your product and market it and make your money. You do have extended producer responsibility, and that extended producer responsibility means that you have to still take care of the environment. You have to make sure that the waste from the goods that you produce is taken care of. Chilengedwe is here to help you, and they're not helping you on their own. They're helping you with the community, so they're engaging the students and they're saying, guys, here's an opportunity for us. What is the benefit? The benefit is no one gets to see the waste of your product as the owners of the goods, thrown around irresponsibly. Secondly, you are empowering the children in the schools. Thirdly, those children also get products out of it. So they are going to get desks, they are going to get garden furniture, they get a wide variety. So it really just depends on what the recycling company is able to offer them, but they do give back to them because they're also helping the recycling company collect waste, you see, which they use, so that's the fuel to their business. So for them to pay them back, that's how they pay them. It's a win-win. It's a win-win situation, and for us, we're changing lives, we're changing mindsets, we're bringing accountability to all, and accountability means to the producer, accountability means to the community, and accountability also means to the end user, as myself. Once I've drunk the water out of that bottle, I've drunk a juice. What am I doing with that bottle? Can it make more for us, and will it keep our city and our country clean? Let's talk about the impact of these initiatives, the initiative that you are implementing in schools. What impact has it generated in the schools, in the minds of the pupils and the teachers? the teachers are very keen. I'm going to start with the teachers because really for us to make this happen, it means that we have to engage a teacher that's ready to run with this project, because the teacher then becomes the steward in the school, and they're the ones that encourage the children, the learners. The teachers are excited because they are the matrons or patrons of the conservation clubs that we set up. Okay. So they're excited to run with this, and they encourage their children. And we've done this in public schools, government schools. We've done it in private schools. The feedback and the overwhelming excitement that we get from the government schools is unbelievable. It is amazing. You know, they remember you, they see you, and they say, we're going to bring the plastics, and we're going to do this. And for me, it just means that this challenge that we have with waste cuts across all classes of society. And if a child sees that this is waste, it needs to be managed better, regardless of which class of society they're coming from. And that is very encouraging, number one. So the children, the patrons, the matrons are excited to work with us, and they deserve all the encouragement. Secondly, the children themselves, they come on board. They are willing to learn. The stewardship and educational campaign awards that Chilengedwe is winning is not winning because they are doing the work. They are winning these because we are going into communities, and our partners, the children and the schools and the teachers, are the ones that are making this change. And it's benefiting them directly because they do see what the benefit is. Okay.
So, now, what role can government agencies, private companies, and community groups play in supporting your work to upscale it, to make it bigger, to, let's think big, make it a countrywide program?
Government agencies through the council have bylaws that speak to waste management. Those need to be enforced. I think this is where government comes in, to ensure that these bylaws are enforced, to ensure that the extended producer responsibility is enforced. And when it's enforced, this is the amount of money it costs to put up a cage or to put up a designer bottle where the collection takes place is so little compared, it's really minuscule compared to the effects of the waste being put there. So I think if government really takes perhaps a forcible step. You know, the councils across the country take a forcible step. I'll give an example here, where even when development partners come on board and they say they're going to help us build. I was in the Kafue National Park not so long ago. You would be disappointed at the waste that you find in the national park. So this waste that you're finding in the national park, the plastic waste that the wild that encounters this waste, they eat this, they consume it, and then it messes up. It's hazardous to them. It messes up their systems. There's waste in the water. So the fishermen are going out there, they're fishing, and they're placing waste there. What are they doing? We're messing up our own beautiful savannas that we have. We're wasting away the Kafue National Park and all the national parks that we have. I'm just giving the Kafue National Park as an example. So even for development partners, they help, they partner with Chilengedwe, partner with there's other initiatives that are happening there, but let us promote the collection of waste and to ensure that once this waste is collected, it goes into the right place, it gets recycled. I strongly believe, and we strongly believe from the observations that we've made at Chilengedwe, is that a lot of the time that waste is indiscriminately, gotten rid of is because there isn't proper waste containers available in place and in the right places with the right sensitization.
Thank you so much for making time and for sharing this very valuable information with us on Climate Check. I appreciate the fact that you're doing your part as Chilengedwe to clean up our environment, especially starting from the schools. Well done.
Thank you so much. We'll continue planting trees, we'll continue collecting waste, and we'll continue calling out people. So, Mary, I'm giving you a challenge.
Yes.
You're driving, you see someone is driving and they throw a plastic, just hoot at them until they go crazy so they know that, I've done something wrong.
They shouldn't do it again.
We need to do this. It has to be a nationwide campaign. And we're going to, we only have this one Zambia.
Exactly.
So we've got to take care of it.
That's it for today. Thank you so much for your time. We will be back again next week, same time, same channel. Remember to take your part in management of plastic waste from your homes, especially that charity begins at home. Let's keep our environment clean and protect planet Earth. My name is Mary Mwiikisa. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.